Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our Impact Wrestling Slammiversary 2022 Roundtable review. We are here to discuss the big show celebrating 20 years of Impact Wrestling last night on pay-per-view and Fight TV. I am here with the expert when it comes to Impact Wrestling, one of the co-hosts of Blunt Impact. He was with you for a bit live last night during our Slammiversary watch along. He is the marijuana enthusiast himself, Chris G.
Oh yeah, caught most of Slammiversary yesterday. Caught the rest of it this morning, and hell of a pay per view by Impact Wrestling.
Hell of a pay-per-view indeed. A lot went down. Really felt like a celebration for the company that not a lot of people thought would make it a year, let alone 20 years. So I mean, overall, what did you kind of think of how they went about things, where it was, establishing that they do have a future, that they plan on going 20 more years, but they're small touches in celebration of their history. How did you like it?
At first, I was a little skeptical because you hear about the reverse battle royal and the like all the bad gimmick matches, the Queen of the Mountain or the first ever Queen of the Mountain, which is from the King of the Mountain match, and just all the faces that are popping up. But in hindsight, it ended up being like the perfect tribute show to to that 20-year history. So at first, I was a little iffy about it, but looking back at it, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yes, they accomplished what they wanted to accomplish out of this show, and definitely entertained, and definitely reminded a whole bunch of folks of why Impact Wrestling was so popular that it's been since the 2000s. But we're here to discuss the show from top to bottom. We want to hear from all of you what you thought about Impact Slammiversary in the live chat. Let us know what you think. Your super chat donations are always appreciated. It helps the channel out so much. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible, but please, if you want your comment highlighted on screen, the super chat donation is the best way to do that. And of course, we appreciate everyone who's joining us live, everyone who's watching this review on demand. So remember to show your appreciation back by dropping the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We are wrapping up Slammiversary week, and we're going head first into AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door week. After we were done with that, Chris G, we're going right into Money in the Bank week, and then we get
Mhm.
a little bit of a breather until SummerSlam. So it feels like there's been a pay-per-view every week for a good month and a half now.
We usually hit one of those stretches though, where it's like every week for like 6 weeks straight, we're doing 3 or 4 watch alongs. But I mean, it's always a fun time on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel.
Absolutely. And we always appreciate everyone watching with us. We got Hassan here with us saying hi there. We got Slam and Sammy Joe, who says, let's get it. We got Eddie James here with us. What's going on, Eddie James? I also say, Slam and Sammy Joe says, I don't want to think about Impact in 2020, 2042. Yeah, I mean, might be strange place. Might be getting reverse battle royals, like the
Yeah,
double reverse, like the
Josh
people that
Alexander's
play.
son is
Oh
going
my
to be the
god!
world
Oh,
champion.
you hit the nail on the head. Yep, it's gonna be that. It's gonna be that. And yes, Vala B, I said it on FMC earlier today. I'll say here, Pau Gasol was not an elite big until he played with Kobe Bean Bryant. How dare Jeremy say he was an elite big when we got him? You
I
you,
wouldn't
you hear
say
this
I wouldn't say
nonsense?
I wouldn't say elite, but he was good
He
on
was
what was it,
good.
Memphis?
No one
Cleveland?
said he wasn't good, but he called him an elite big. That Kobe has only done stuff with elite bigs like Shaq and Pau Gasol. I was like, Pau Gasol was not an elite big until he played with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, no.
Gonna get me into this. We weren't even supposed to talk about that. I mean, we spent
Oh,
like a half an hour talking about Kobe
we got to
and
save
Pau.
that for the other channel when we drop it.
There you go. We also got Ace with us saying, "What's up, SP3, Chris and chat?" Keep those comments coming as we're going to talk about Slammiversary, which was, of course, from the home, the birthplace of Impact Wrestling, Nashville, Tennessee. What did you think about the crowd for Slammiversary? Which I will say, this is my first and one of my only nitpicks. I feel like Impact doesn't mic their crowds well because the
Hmm.
crowd sounded into a couple of things, but they always seemed like muffled or muted a lot of times.
Well, it's just like that Raw Live feel where it's like the crowd sort of like in unison hits those highs and lows. So it does sound muffled at times. They could mic their crowd a little bit. I think it'll enhance it a little bit, the production. But I thought the crowd was hot for most matches. I mean, imagine like a few down spots or more quiet when a little bit in like the Josh Alexander Eric Young match when they were really like starting to fill each other out and stuff like they for the most part I thought they were great.
Yeah, this is true. Like I said, I thought that the crowd was active and into the show. It just sounded like sort of muffled and muted a bit. But that's one of my only nitpicks for the show. We One of my other nitpicks for the show though was the countdown to Slammiversary, which they hyped up for weeks. Was supposed to be on YouTube, wasn't on YouTube at all. They had a whole bunch of people in the live chat I saw over on their YouTube channel who were upset. They had like 2,000 people waiting, and they literally changed it from a start time of 7:30 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. And then after like 7:50 p.m. Eastern time, they removed the video altogether.
Yeah, somebody in the production team fucked up bad. That's bad. That's fire this person worthy.
Big time. Their YouTube team is going to get some reshuffling, it seems. But the first match on the countdown to Slammiversary was for the Digital Media Championship. Rich Swann was the champion. He defeated excuse me, I was about to call him Zach Ryan, Matt Cardona. And he defeated Matt Cardona in Las Vegas during Double or Nothing weekend for the title. But Matt Cardona took back the ownership of the physical Digital Media Championship and gave it to Brian Myers. So Brian Myers was here on behalf of Matt Cardona to face Rich Swann for the Digital Media Championship, and they had a pretty good matchup here. Myers couldn't keep Swan down. He connected with like a spear at one point, swinging DDT for a 2 count. But Swan went off with kicks to the head. Then he hit the lethal injection, and then he followed up with a second rope 450 splash to get the victory over Brian Myers. I thought that this was a nice way to kick off the show. Rich Swann, always one of the better performers in Impact Wrestling, very underrated. I gave this 2.5 stars. It was a pretty good way to kick off the show.
Yeah, I mean, I give it 2 and 3/4 stars. I just think it was a little short, but it was a nice little solid matchup just to start off the night. You can't go wrong with Rich Swann being in the ring. Brian Myers, holds his own too. So it was a cool little story with Brian Myers basically being like the interim champion while Matt Cardona is out, even though Rich Swann is technically the champ. So it was cool. I liked it.
Interim. He was basically a substitute teacher. He was a substitute
Yeah.
teacher from Matt Cardona. And
Well,
then
it is the learning
next,
tree.
there you go. There you go. Substitute teachers on the learning tree. But next we had one of the famed stipulations in Impact Wrestling history, the reverse battle royal. Before we get into the match, what's your thoughts? What's your opinion on the reverse battle royal, which basically is all of the men start outside of the ring and then they have to fight to get into the ring. The 8 men that are able to get into the ring, they then will be in a regular battle royal until 6 men are eliminated, and it's down to the final two who have to fight in a singles match, and that winner wins the reverse battle royal. With those convoluted rules behind us, what do you think about the reverse battle royal and its history in Impact Wrestling?
This is by far one of the dumbest fucking matches I've ever heard of in my life. You have to fight to get into the ring to throw somebody out of the ring to have a one-on-one match when you can't throw the guy over the ring. I don't know. Seems a little bit much.
It's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's very simple, I swear. One of some of the notable people that were in this matchup, you had Father James Mitchell bringing down former member of his church, the Slash. You also had David Young in this, Shark Boy, Johnny Swinger, and the oldest member of the match, 72-year-old Action Mike Jackson, after defeating Joey Janela at GCW. I you wouldn't understand, in New York City, Action Mike was here in Nashville, and he stood out of the people in this matchup. He gave Shara the old school by walking across almost half of the guardrail around the fans and then dropping the forearm on him. Shira's boy helped Shira get into the ring, though, stopping Action Mike from delivering more damage. Then we got into the 8 men that were in the traditional matchup. Two of the favorites in this match, Steve Macklin and Chris Bay, they got eliminated very early after they fought on the apron, and Chris Bay delivered the art of finesse or ultimate finesse on Macklin on the apron, eliminating both men. And then it came down to Johnny Swinger, David Young, and Shark Boy. Johnny Swinger eliminated his former tag team partner, David Young, and threw Shark Boy over the top rope, but that's not how the reverse battle royal is proceeded. When it's down to the final two, you have to win by pinfall or submission. So Johnny Swinger brought Shark Boy back into the ring, where he gave him the chummer, not the stunner, the chummer, for the victory. Oh, shell yeah. Shark Boy wins the reverse battle royale. Um, the camera work during this matchup was horrible. Um, you missed a lot of different things. You didn't see when people got into the ring a couple of times, but Shark Boy winning was a fun kind of inoffensive way to finish this stupid gimmick. I gave this 1 star. What did you give it, Chris?
I'm not rating this shit, but this man was like, ugh, too much going on. Just terrible camera work, like you said. Good to see Mike Jackson out there cut like a fucking. You see how shredded he is for a 70-year-old guy? He puts me to shame. I'm about to do some push-ups midstream. Phil, he put me to shame, shit. But I mean, I can't say I really enjoyed anything in this match. Like I was like, even the winner, I was like, fucking Shark Boy. Like I wanted Macklin to win, but after I understood it, it was a cool little homage to the older days of TNA or Impact Wrestling. So whatever, that's my rating. Whatever.
Whatever is the rating that Chris G gives it. We got Vala B, who says, "Give me a shell, yeah, yes, Shark Boy." The and Vala B with, and that's the fishing line because Shark Boy said so. Absolutely,
I
all
like
this
Shark
stupid.
Boy, but damn, I don't want to see.
Hey, I think it would have devalued Steve Macklin or Chris Bay for winning this stupid ass match. So
Yeah,
this
I'd
was
rather
this
see
is
them pull that spot off and eliminate themselves.
exactly. I guess that's better than winning the reverse battle royal of all matches. We opened up the show with the traditional, I always say, the fake James Earl Jones that always does the intros for all the old school TNA pay-per-views. He was the voiceover guy talking about some of the incredible talent that has come through these doors. It was a nice little trip down memory lane as we transition into hyping the card for tonight, and they started off hot with Ultimate X, Ace Austin defending the X Division Championship against former champion Kenny King, Speedball Mike Bailey, other former champion Trey Miguel, Alex Zane, and Andrew Everett. Trey Miguel and Andrew Everett, they were flying all over the place very early during this one. I do got to credit Trey Miguel with the nice little Venom attire. That was a nice little touch for Spider Trey. And Ace Austin with the new little inevitable club, now that he's a Bullet Club member. But like I said, this was a lot of high flying action. Everett hit like a nice little spinning, twisting tope. We got huge Tower of Doom spot that led to Trey Miguel hitting a Canadian destroyer on Alex Zane off the top rope. That was crazy. We got Speedball Mike Bailey as he's climbing the cables. He does the Ultimo weapon onto three of the dudes below him. And then the end of the match just saw Bailey and Ace Austin fighting on the cables, hanging from their feet, chopping each other down. And then finally, Speedball even did one point. He did his kicks while holding on to the cable on Kenny King. That was a nice little touch. But he finally chops down Ace, his former friend, and he goes up to the top of the X and grabs the X Division title to become the new X Division champion. This was so well deserved for Speedball Mike Bailey, who has honestly been one of the best wrestlers in the world in 2022. He's been one of the best additions to Impact Wrestling of the year as well. And for the first time, he wins the X Division championship. I gave this 3.75 stars. This was a wonderful, fun spot fest to start the show, and exactly what you expect from the X Division. This X Division feels more accustomed to the X Division that we all fell in love with in the 2000s that made a lot of people TNA fans. What did you think?
Oh, I loved it. I gave this 4 stars. I liked all the spots. Mike Bailey really looked great. My boy Eight Ball Mike Bailey, like how I like to call him. I did. He showed out, man. Again, he's been showing out all year. The nice little, what'd you call it? The weapon of destruction. What was it? What was it called when he does a
Ultimo
little
Weapon.
ultimate weapon? Yeah, he does the
Yeah.
little flip off the cables into a couple of guys. That was cool. That Alex Zane and Trey Miguel spot with the Canadian destroyer over off the fucking top rope. That was the one spot that had me like, holy shit, that was cool. But I liked it. I liked the whole match, and the right guy won. Even though I picked Ace Austin, I think the right guy did win. So I'm happy for Mike Bailey. He's finally getting his flowers.
Absolutely. Mike Bailey is well deserved. I wanted Mike Bailey to win the title one on one against Ace Austin because I feel like that's the feud to go with for the X Division, especially when you're coming up. Your next big pay per view is Bound for Glory, which is like Impact Wrestling's WrestleMania. So I thought they would save his big win for that show, but don't mind it at all. Speedball getting the win. He's been in so many spectacular matches. One recently with Takeshna at West Coast Pro that's up on YouTube for anybody who want to check that out. I have it up on my Twitter page, so definitely worth checking out. I got to check that out myself. Slammiversary Joe says Speedball has been picked to win so many matches that he's lost. Nice win for him here. Yes, I was very happy for Speedball, despite me also picking Ace Austin in this one. Vala B even going as far to say this X Division, I would say, is better. I don't know. Because I'm talking about the X Division that had AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, Samoa
Kazarian.
Joe, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian. Like, these are guys that are top guys in different places now that were a part of this X Division back then. But I would say maybe overall, this is the closest to that golden era of the X Division.
Mhm. I would say that's athletically. I would say maybe this crop of guys might be a little bit more athletic. They could pull off some really insane shit between like Ace Austin, Speedball, Trey Miguel, Alex Zane. Like they're really all innovative. So 10, 15 years from now, maybe we can make this argument. But for now, I agree with you.
Absolutely. There we got Frantic World that says the X Division will always be my favorite thing to watch. It definitely is. It always is. We got
Mhm.
Ace who says Impact didn't give her a chance, talking about Tasha Steeles, which we will get into when we get to the Queen of the Mountain match. But we get a brief little memoriam for Bob Ryder, who passed away in 2020, who was one of the founding members behind the scenes for TNA and Impact Wrestling, and they dedicate the show to his memory. We also get a little interview with the Impact Originals, who talk about their matchup with Honor No More. You got the Motor City Machine Guns, Frankie Kazarian. They let us know that the Motor City Machine Guns were voted the most impactful tag team in Impact Wrestling history, and they go through listing a couple of tag teams. Chris Sabin talks about the issues that they have with Honor No More. Frankie Kazarian says they're in a celebratory mood, but they're also in the fighting mood, and he he mocks all the members of Honor No More. And Nick Aldis says that a lot of people applied for their final spot in the team, but their selection was a no-brainer, but they don't tell us who it is. And then we got a nice one of our first surprises with these video messages throughout the night at Slammiversary, where it was AEW's own Sting talking about his time in TNA. He talks about being back in TNA and into the wrestling industry. He relives a bit of his history with the promotion, and he says one of his biggest highlights was the Joker Sting character, for being a way to allow him to step into a new version of his character, plus all his great matches with Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Hulk Hogan, Jeff Jarrett. He wishes everyone well and encourages everyone to tear it up. I will say, man, TNA and Impact Wrestling doesn't get enough credit for being a place for Sting to be introduced to a whole new generation of fans. So I would say Sting is definitely in the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, for Impact Wrestling. What about you?
Yeah, I never really thought about that because you just, you hear Sting and you kind of assume everybody knows who he is because he's Sting, right? But you're right. I mean, for those like 2000, what was it, like 2007 to like 2013, however long he was there. I mean, those years, it really is like a new generation of wrestling fans. So I'm glad they got to see that. Joker Sting was pretty cool too. It was a good character, and it just adds on to the layers of the man we call Sting. So I'm I'm glad he came and did this little video.
It was the first of many surprises with these video messages throughout the night. Next, though, we had the Impact Knockouts tag team titles up for grabs, as the Influence, Madison Rain and Tennille Dashwood versus Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie, the former rivals turned friends. And the story of the match was pretty much about them not being on the same page to start, but slowly but surely working together throughout this matchup. The Influence hit the collab on Rosemary and seemed to be setting up Taya to, finish things off. But Taya hit Madison, takes out Tennille Dashwood, and then hits Madison with a big knee. Rosemary rises from the dead after taking the collab and hits her finisher. And we have new Knockouts tag team champions, Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. I thought that this was a solid match that told a simple yet effective story, with Rosemary and Taya kind of finding their chemistry together. I gave the match 3 stars. What did you think, Chris?
Yeah, I gave it 2 and 3/4. I liked the match. I didn't think it was like, amazing, spectacular, but it was cool because it told a good story with Tyre and Rosemary kind of regaining that friendship, regaining that chemistry over the last couple weeks, but making it all come together in this match. I picked the Influence, so it does hinder my rating because I'm depressed about the match. But I do like where they're
Come on,
going
Chris.
with it.
You're making me look bad. I told people to copy you for Impact Wrestling. Don't copy me. Copy Chris. He watches it more.
Well, we tied. We tied. So
Yes,
it's all good. I mean, you couldn't go wrong either way. But yeah, I thought it was a solid match. I liked
because I didn't pick my guy Speedball. I'm a dummy. I'm a dummy. I
it.
didn't pick my guy Speedball, and I picked the Bullet Club in the wrong match and not in the right match. That was my errors on the show.
Yep.
But we got our next little video message surprise here, as it's another Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer, and it's none other than Kurt Angle with the video now. He congratulates Impact on 20 years, reminds him of all his feuds in TNA with Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, wishes for Impact to keep going for another 20 years. And once again, this is another guy that, a lot of people were introduced to Kurt Angle in WWE, but crazy part, he spent more years in the ring for Impact Wrestling than he did for WWE. He's definitely a part of my Impact Mount Rushmore as well. What about you?
I mean, yeah, it's wild when you think about that. He spent so much time at Impact Wrestling and probably had better matches in Impact Wrestling with like guys like Samoa Joe and Sting, and even his feud with Jeff Jarrett and shit. Like it's just his. He's such a part of TNA history, Impact history. It's wild to think. I mean, the whole Perk Angle thing. It's just, man, we love Kurt. I'm so glad Kurt was part of this company.
Perk Angle was a different beast. If you don't know
Different
Perk
animal.
Angle, You missed out. You missed out from like 2009 to 2012. Oh man, Perk Angle was flying all over the place. Moonsaults off the steel cage, craziness. And yes, gotta mention for East talking about the Knockouts tag team title match. Taya Valkyrie now 3 belts. Taya, who she owns the AAA Reina del Rey Championship, the MLW Featherweight Championship, and now the Impact Knockouts Tag Team title. So collecting those belts and making WWE look foolish for letting her go.
Mm-hmm.
We also got Eric here who says the show was grand. We got Josh popping in for us saying SP3 is actually in first by one. Yes, thank you, Josh. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no shit. No shit, Josh. Thank you for that.
Finally stop tying with Chris G, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in first for the True Hill Heat Prediction Championship. 1 month ago, Chris G. You got
We got
1
1
month.
month. We
We
got a
got Forbidden
couple
Door. We
pay-per-views,
got
man.
we got Money in the Bank. I think we got an ROH pay-per-view in July, and then SummerSlam is the final show. Final show of the True Hill Heat Prediction Championship first season. So
I'm gonna have to do my homework, man.
have you do your homework on those WWE shows. That's tough.
Yeah,
That's
right.
tough. They're unpredictable. CM always gotta throw some shade. She said Kurt Angle lost his wife in Impact too.
Uh,
This is true.
this is true.
This is true. This is true. Frantic World says Joe versus Kurt for all the titles was my favorite match. I prefer Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle at Genesis, their first match in
Mm-hmm.
TNA, or the one where they did like the fake MMA match in the steel cage at Lockdown 2008. Those are
8.
my yeah, two favorite
Yeah.
matches of those guys.
I prefer
Uh,
the first encounter.
yeah,
Just the feel
that
of it. It felt
Genesis
like a
match
big fight.
that was
Yeah.
that was like 13 minutes, but it was a full-on sprint. That was the most excited I've ever heard that Asylum, that original Asylum crowd in Universal Studios. They were going crazy for that.
Mm-hmm.
We also got Josh who says, "You the one that said y'all were tied, y'all ain't. That's on you."
I meant we tied for the pay-per-view. Dick. Stay in the comments.
Oh, next week we were prepping for our Monsters Ball match. You saw Moose coming out of the room. This was the OG Monster Balls rooms where they had to spend 24 hours in a dark room with no food, no water. Moose was not accustomed to being in the darkness that long. Go figure. Sammy Callahan was also in the isolated room, but he seemed a lot better than Moose did. Moose was struggling with the light while Sammy came out saying he wants to live there. Uh, Sammy attacked Moose as soon as he came out when Moose was bothered by the spotlight. At one point, Moose got a hot dog and a water bottle from a friend, and he consumes both, and then goes back to stalking Sammy. Busted open Sammy very early with a trash can lid, put him through a table at ringside. We got Moose wants the spear, but Sammy catches him and sidesteps, and he puts Moose in a trash bin. That was great timing on that one. Sammy whacked the trash can lids with a chair a few times, and then sets the trash cans up with Moose's legs kicked of out the top of it, which was a great sight gag right there. This was just crazy. It had all the kind of brutality and weapons you expect. There was your barbed wire, there was your thumbtacks. At one point, Moose gave Sammy a go to hell onto the thumbtacks. Moose went through the barbed wire table with like an attitude adjustment by Sammy. They traded trash can lid shots at the end, and this was completely brutal. But the most brutal spot was Sammy delivering Moose with a power bomb on a trash can that was upside down. That had to hurt Moose's back and spine. That was sick. Then he hit the cactus driver twice, and Moose kicked out at one on the second one and fired up. But then Sammy pulled out a barbed wire bat from a can, whacks Moose with it a few times, and hits one last cactus driver 97 for the victory here. This was just a complete and brutal, unadulterated violence. This is exactly the type of monsters Ball you expect. I gave this 4 stars. I thought that this was memorable. And Sammy Callahan, in a lot of ways, is Mr. Slammiversary because I think it was Slammiversary 2018. He had the brutal no disqualification match with Pentagon.
That was the
Then
hair versus mask, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
hair versus mask match. Then 2019, he had the main event against Tessa Blanchard, which was a great matchup. Last year, he had the no DQ match with Kenny Omega, which is one of the best Slammiversary main events of all time. And then
Mhm.
this year, once again, delivering 4 stars for me. Monsters Ball seems to be Sammy's now gimmick now that Abyss is gone. And by the way, my stat that I put in the chat last night, I'll say here Abyss was in 48 of the 54 Monster Ball matches in the Impact Wrestling history. So Sammy needs to take the banner, take the torch
He
of the
needs about
Monsters Ball
40 more Monster Balls matches.
to catch up, right? What did you think, Chris?
I mean, I gave it 3 and 3/4 stars. I thought it was a fun match. I love the destruction. It's what it needed to be for this feud. Honestly, they needed to beat each other up. I like the whole locked in the room for 24 hours, no water, no light type situation. It causes more doubt, I guess, more obstacles for both guys. Even though Sammy clearly adjusts to it way better than most. Um, I don't know. I really enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed the spots. It is a little brutal, the headshots with the trash can and shit, with trash can lids, and that trash can spot with Moose, where the trash can. I didn't realize it was upside down, but like the way he landed, his back is just there, and it just looked brutal. But other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was just a fun brawl, the type of violence you always expect. That was one of my favorite matches of the night for this one. And Andrew says, not this time, Moose. Yeah, he couldn't get the victory for Juneteenth. Poor Moose. And John Elite mentioning that last year versus Kenny. Yeah, that was a great match as well. This is Sammy's kind of bag. He does well in these no disqualification Monsters Ball, Falls Count Anywhere type of matches, and he's
Mhm.
delivered many of the matches of the night for Slammiversary. He's Mr. Slammiversary, in my opinion. Next up, we got the Impact Tag Team Championships were up for grabs as it was the Briscoes, Mark and Jay, defending against the Good Brothers. This just became a very like frenetic type of brawl. These are two of the best tag teams in the world, but they just were going at it back and forth, big dives to the outside, brawling around ringside and then in the ring. Gallows and Anderson wanted the Magic Killer, but Jay fights both of them off. But Gallows drops him with a super kick. Then they hit the Magic Killer on Jay. Gallows intercepts Mark, allowing the Good Brothers to regain and become 3-time Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions. This was the first Speedball Mike Bailey winning was a little bit of a surprise. I thought that Ace Austin would defend, but it did seem logical that if Ace didn't win, it should have been Speedball Mike Bailey. But this result surprised me more than that. I did not expect the Good Brothers to regain the titles, beating the Briscoes so soon after the Briscoes won the tag team titles at Under Siege. Of course, we got to talk about post match. All 4 men were staring down with each other after that brawl, and it looked like they were going to come to blows. And then the music of one of the greatest tag teams in Impact Wrestling history hit as Cowboy James Storm and the Wildcat Chris Harris, America's Most Wanted, came down to the ring. All 3 teams were in the ring. Storm talks about how everyone here is just like him. They only know fighting and drinking. And since the fighting's happened, now it's time for some drinking. He gives everyone a beer except for Harris, who they joke that they need everyone needs a designated driver. And then Storm puts over tag team wrestling in Impact's history. They share a toast, and Storm reminds us that for 20 years, people have been doubting Impact's ability to succeed and stick around. And well, to the haters and doubters, sorry about your damn luck. I thought that this was a great moment to cap off what I thought was a really good matchup with the Good Brothers and the Briscoes. I gave it 3.5 stars. What did you get the match, and what did you think about the post match here, Chris?
I gave it 3 and 1/4. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a little too short. I would like to see a little bit more from these guys, especially it being their second encounter, on Impact.
Yeah.
So I'm very surprised that the Good Brothers got the belts back. I'm not complaining because I like the Good Brothers, and the Bullet Club is on fire right now. So keep adding fuel to that fire. It's all good with me. Briscoes, maybe they're only here for a short amount of time and they're about to see a way out. So it makes sense. It was good to see Briscoes here for a few months. But the moment after, James Storm, Big Cat, Chris Harris coming out, I mean, that was just feel good moment. A tribute to the tag teams, all the good tag teams that have passed by. I would have loved to see Bobby Bobby Roode out there, but that's a different story. So it's all good. I enjoyed the match.
Hey,
I
hey,
enjoyed the
hey,
moment after.
I think WWE, we can say WWE did enough. We'll talk
Did
about
enough.
that.
They
They
did. They
did.
did do enough. They did.
We got a couple of comments here. Film Nation saying so glad the Good Brothers won. John Elite also bringing up that now Machine Gun Carl Anderson, another one with multiple titles. He's the never openweight champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling after beating Tama Tonga at Dominion, and now he is the one half of the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And the Good Brothers, once again, another team that's very successful at Slammiversary. They debuted 2 years ago at Slammiversary, and now they regain the tag team titles. I know there was talk a couple of months back about them re-signing or whether they would re-sign with Impact Wrestling, but seems like a good sign that they won the titles, that they are or have or will be re-signing with Impact Wrestling, right?
hmm I mean, I always thought it was either Impact or New Japan. I don't. For some reason, I don't see them going to AEW. I would see them going back to New Japan. But if Impact is going to allow them to show up on New Japan anyway, then why not just re-sign with Impact Wrestling?
Yeah, they have a good relationship with them. They do their thing. They're able to use some Impact guys for like the shop talking shopomania and stuff. So it works out for them. Janice Jones saying happy for the Good Brothers to becoming Impact Tag Team Champions. Latrell's on the other end of the spectrum saying hated this outcome. So this is a great way to get conflicting outcomes, having the Good Brothers win in this one. And yes, AMW is the original GOAT
Mhm.
tag team in Impact Wrestling. Like it was them and I will never forget their steel cage match with Triple X at Turning Point 2004 with Elix Skipper doing the
Mhm.
ring, the cage walk. That is one of the biggest moments and best matches in Impact Wrestling history.
Also, one of the greatest spots in wrestling history.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Eddie James with a good question saying, could we see the Good Brothers versus the Young Bucks at Forbidden Door? I wouldn't think so, only because they're both heel tag teams. But I mean, it at a future Forbidden Door, maybe. What do you
Yeah,
think?
like at a future, I don't see it being this one. I would love to see the Young Bucks versus the Briscoes. Like, if that were to happen at Forbidden Door, that'd be cool. But I don't know. We got a week left. We'll wait and see.
Exactly. We also got Annika who says all they needed was Gail Kim with them out there. Yeah, people sleep on Gail Kim was a great valet with America's Most Wanted when they turned heel. Great call back there, Annika. Uh, we then got speaking of great matches and great moments in Impact Wrestling history, there was one commentary or one team that we talked about AMW, talked about the Good Brothers, talked about the Briscoes, Motor City Machine Guns earlier in the show. One of the best teams ever was not in the ring. It was at the commentary booth. So we got a video package of the original commentary team for TNA, Mike Today and Don West. The history bits were just really well produced, well done. And I love this one the most because they're still one of my favorite commentary teams. Mike Today is just so knowledgeable in professional wrestling, the history, the background of all the promoters, all the performers, and Don West was a guy that had no experience at commentary, no experience in wrestling. He was just an advertised guy for TNA who they gave the commentary spot to, but his overall enthusiasm just made him so popular, so loved by the TNA faithful. Any memories of this OG commentary team you have?
I just remember them being good until they kind of started tweaking Don West's character and trying to make him like a heel commentator. And then after that, it kind of went like downhill. But before that, I mean, they were solid. They were a legit like good commentary team.
Absolutely, absolutely. Show some love for Mike Today and Don West. Will Chisholm says, as a kid, that cage walk scares the shit out of me. I won't lie to you. It did too. It did
As an
too.
adult,
Everything it
that
does.
shit scares me.
Anthony Manzano asking, "How about America's Most Wanted versus the Young Bucks?" You didn't see Chris Harris. I'm sorry, Chris Harris does not look in any type of shape to have any type of matches anytime soon.
I know James Storm looks great, but Big Cat ain't with it. I don't think
He,
Big Cat is ready for that.
see, Chris is not even calling him Wildcat anymore. He's Big Cat
Oh
because that
shit, Big
man's
Cat. Yeah,
that
he's
man
Big Cat now.
he's Big Cat. He
Wildcat, my
developed
bad.
he developed from Wildcat to Big Cat.
Yeah, he's definitely not fighting in a match now. Shit.
Oh man, that's just great. That's just great. That's wonderful. I know
Shit.
that wasn't on purpose, but that's
No, it
great.
definitely wasn't. But it made for good content.
Oh, we had another return before our 5-on-5 matchup with Honor No More and the Impact Originals. Christy Hemme was made an appearance to welcome out the executive vice president of Impact Wrestling and former manager, former coach of Team Canada, Scott D'Amore. He did his whole shtick, his former Coach D'Amore shtick. He was one of the more hated managers I remember back in the early TNA, Team Canada, which is the place that gave us Johnny Devine, who was responsible for training Kenny Omega, who also gave us Bobby Roode, Eric Young, and of course the creator of the Canadian Destroyer, Petey Williams. People don't show enough love for Petey Williams. So I always got to mention him, who is now a producer over in WWE. And then it was time to find out who was the mystery man for the Impact Originals. To introduce him, we got none other than the former owner and president of TNA Impact Wrestling, Dixie Carter. She thanked everyone for any and all support that's been given over the years. And then she introduced the fifth member of Impact Originals, which was none other than Davey Richards, one half of the American Wolves with Eddie Edwards. So nice little interplay there with this decision here. What was your thoughts? Because I heard the guys on the watch along, they weren't too pleased with Davey Richards being the mystery member of the Impact Originals. But what did you think, Chris G?
I mean, I was kind of underwhelmed also, but I get it. So I'm not like totally upset with it. But I mean, I would have went a different route. I understand why they probably couldn't, but I would have brought back somebody a little bit, more truer, I guess, to the Impact, to the TNA name.
I mean, we got a bunch of Impact Originals on this one though, so this was one of the better matches of the night too, in my opinion. You had the Impact Originals, which had the Motor City Machine Guns, who they're double teams, even though they don't team like consistently enough anymore. Their double teams are just so smooth, so great in the ring. Frankie Kazarian is such a polished performer. Nick Aldis, he added to this match in a bit, and Honor No More just played the perfect foils for the Impact Originals. PCO is an absolute maniac. He's just always very crazy, and his what is senton off the top rope onto the apron. The fact that he never really hits that move, he just does it to take a fucking bump
Just to hurt
on the
himself.
apron. Oh my god! It's just like why? We got the little interaction between the former American Wolves during this one with Davey and Eddie Edwards going at it. Tracy Brooks, the wife of Frankie Kazarian, she got involved, taking out Maria at one point until PCO grabbed her up and was about to yoke her. Then we had Frankie Kazarian with the craziest spot in this fucking matchup when he hits the flux capacitor, his version of the Spanish fly on PCO of all people. He couldn't pick like a lighter person to do this move on. Like
They
he
barely
knew.
got that shit off.
Oh my god. I was like, PCO was about to land on his head. Saban got the cover, but it was just for a 2 count before they broke things up. Kenny King then interfered. He showed up to beat up Saban after the referee got taken out of the ring. And then here come the vice president of Aces and Eights, D'Lo Brown, who hit the sky high, and then he went up to the top. I thought they were gonna stop him once again, but no, he hit the motherfucking low down, the low down, big D'Lo. Saban and Shelly, they loaded up kicks. Then Taven and Bennett ran into the ring, and they got super kicks from Frankie and Shelly. Frankie hit the wave of the future, and then Shelly hit the shell shock, and then Saban hit the cradle shock on PCO with Brian Hebner on the outside. Earl Hebner revealed that he had been reinstated as a referee, took off his shirt, came in and counted the 1, 2, 3. This was just a whole big celebration of Impact Wrestling, a wild, crazy brawl with plenty of callbacks to old school stuff. Like I said, PCO was the MVP in my eyes, but that final sequence with Earl Hebner and Brian Hebner with a nice little tribute to the late great Dave Hebner, which we want to send our condolences to the entire Hebner family. You know, prayers to Dave Hebner as well as Tim White, who passed away this past week. But this was just a wonderful brawl that was like a very much a tribute to the history of Impact Wrestling. I gave this 4 stars. This was honestly one of my favorite matches of the night. Just a fun multi-man matchup. What did you think, Christy?
Yeah, I gave it 3 3/4. I thought it was a really fun match, though. A lot of destruction, but I mean, it was just good to see the Motor City Machine Guns pulling off these double teams. It's good to see PCO take these fucking bumps. It was good to see Kaz's wife getting in it with Maria. Like, I had a little bit of everything, where a little bit of new, a little bit of old. I mean, it was just fun. And then the Earl Hebner spot and the Brian Hebner spot kind of got me. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is nice. Father and son get to do shit like this. So I liked it. I really enjoyed the match. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a clusterfuck, but I actually enjoyed it.
Yes, this is just a wonderful ride down memory lane, just an enjoyable matchup with highlighting a bunch of people. But of course, it was the team that was made up of, you know, Impact Originals, but also a guy signed to AEW, a guy signed to NWA, and a guy signed to MLW, beating the ROH guys.
Pretty much. It's just a whole melting pot.
That's the forbidden door. And after all those representations, like I said, you had Impact, you had ROH, AEW, NWA, MLW, all represented in that 5-on-5 matchup. We then got the most shocking and biggest appearance in the video messages of the night. WWE's own former 2-time WWE champion, AJ Styles. He wishes Impact a happy anniversary, talks about wrestling the Flying Elvises in the first match ever for TNA. He waxes nostalgic about the nostalgia, about all the crazy stuff he did in TNA and Impact. But he says the one match that changed everything for him was the him versus Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels in 2005. Still to this day, the only Wrestling Observer newsletter 5-star rated matchup in Impact Wrestling history. He says they weren't 6'5" and jacked, but they changed things. They transcended wrestling. The fans voted Styles the most impactful X Division star as well as male wrestler in Impact Wrestling history. And he says AJ Styles wouldn't quite be phenomenal without Impact. He also thanked WWE for letting him do this because they know this means something to him. And he virtually toasts to the next 20 years of Impact Wrestling. There is no question the GOAT, the first head on the Mount Rushmore of Impact Wrestling, has to be AJ Styles. So I want to thank myself here for True Hill Heat. Thank WWE for allowing him to be a part of this, because it would have felt incomplete without any inclusion of AJ Styles. So this was a nice, great surprise on this night. What did you think of that?
Oh, I definitely wasn't expecting it. So I'm happy that it happened, because you can't say Impact Wrestling or TNA without AJ Styles. Like, he was the man for that company for such a long time. So it's good to see him, and it's, thank WWE as he should. I'm glad they let him go. Do that, and Hopefully they do more shit like this in the future. Like, like let some of their superstars pay homage to their roots.
Absolutely. Like this was just a great little touch. I would have loved for like Bobby Roode to be on, send a message as well, but this was the
Yeah,
one guy they had to do it for. And Annika, to answer this question, how much did AJ pay to do the video? I think that this was a receipt. Impact pulled up to WWE with the receipt. Like, we let Mickey come out with our Knockouts Championship.
true.
You needed to fill a spot and needed a big surprise of the Forbidden Door at the Royal Rumble, and they just pulled their receipt, and it was like, all right, we'll have AJ record something for y'all. Don't worry, we got y'all.
Pretty much.
That's what I think. Absolutely. I don't think AJ had to get paid to do that. I think AJ would have
Nah.
done that out the honesty of his heart. But as far as WWE, it was just a receipt for what Impact did, giving Mickey James to them for the Royal Rumble. But speaking of Mickey James, she headed to the ring as she was the enforcer for our next matchup, which was the Knockouts title Queen of the Mountain matchup. And this is another one that I have to explain the rules of. So the Queen of the Mountain match is basically a reverse ladder match. No one is eligible to win until they score a pinfall on one of their other opponents. The lady that is scored a pinfall on has to spend 2 minutes in a penalty box. The woman who scored the pinfall has the opportunity to go climb the ladder and put the title, hang it up above the ring, and become the Queen of the Mountain. This one lived up to the hype despite all the convoluted stipulations. All five of these ladies brought it. Tasha Steeles playing the consummate heel throughout this one, kind of trying to sneak and get victories over the other opponents, trying to avoid other opponents. Chelsea Green and Deanna Purrazzo worked together. So did Mia Yim and Jordan Grace. Mia Yim hit a great drop kick off the penalty box on Chelsea Green with her landing on the ladder bridge. We also had her do a walking of the ladder and then do the flip dive that Shelton Benjamin is usually known for, and then screamed at a fan in the front row that she does it better than Shelton. Great touch there. uh the spots at the end were just crazy. You had Tasha Steeles had an awkward dive. Bunch of ladies spent time in the penalty box. Mickey James got involved after Chelsea Green kicked the door of the penalty box in her face, knocking her down. Later on in the match, when Chelsea Green had the opportunity and she was eligible to win, Mickey James stopped her from climbing the ladder and attacked her. We then had the big spot where Chelsea Green and Deanna Purrazzo were trying to decide who was going to hang up the title. Chelsea had the title in her hand, but Deanna Purrazzo climbed on the other side, and then Mia Yim pushed the ladder over, and oh my God, what a scary bump this was.
Mhm.
Deanna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green smashing through a ladder at ringside. That was just an insane bump there. And then in the end, it was Jordan Grace. Mia Yim was already in the penalty box, and then Jordan Grace hit the muscle buster on Tasha Steeles to put her in the penalty box, and it was all clear for Jordan Grace to climb the ladder, hang the belt above the ring, and Jordan Grace becomes two-time Impact Wrestling Knockouts World Champion. I thought that this was the match of the night. Spoiler alert, this was the match of the night for me. This was just crazy. All five ladies bringing out their best in a crazy ladder match with crazy spots. I gave this 4.25 stars. What did you think, Chris?
I gave this 4 stars. I really didn't know what to expect with this fucking gimmick match. I'm like, Queen of the Mountain, how's this gonna go, right? It started off kind of slow, but once it really picked up, I mean, it was just nonstop. Uh, Great spots. Mia Yim, I thought really showed out. The only thing I didn't like was Mickey James getting interfering with Chelsea Green. Like, I understand they have a little history and they might be even building towards a match and shit, but they could have went about it a different way. Like, she literally like stopped her from climbing the ladder and like didn't keep it fair. You know what I mean? As an enforcer, you should try to keep it a little fair, regardless of the beef you got with the other person. And this was just blatantly like, nope, fuck that bitch. You ain't going up there. Like you ain't winning this one. That was the only like little nitpick I got because other than that, it was fun. And then that table spot, man, with Deanna and Chelsea, just shout out to both of them because that shit looked brutal. But you know, they're okay. The spot looked great. I think the right woman won. Everything went as planned. The women continue to show when they get this spotlight, these first ever matches or whatever, they always show out. So Impact Wrestling, the women's division, once again, one of the strongest women division out there.
Yeah, they're one of the probably the best booked women's division in North America. They always highlight the women on all their major shows. They usually have multiple women's matches on their weekly shows, and the women are always seen as one of the biggest things in the company. So I really enjoyed this matchup, and like you said, it felt, even though I didn't pick Jordan Grace, I think the only kind of out there pick would have been picking Chelsea Green because it didn't seem like she was going to win. But
Mhm.
Jordan Grace was a nice little dark horse win because she's only been the Knockouts champion once before, and it was such a brief time because Deanna Purrazzo came into the company, I think like a month and a half after she won the title, and then immediately they put the title on her, and it's kind of been the era of Deanna Purrazzo since then. So it was
True.
great to kind of repay and give some love to Jordan Grace with this victory here in this first ever matchup.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've done a good job of keeping Jordan relevant. You know, even staying out of the title picture for the women at least. You know, she's been doing
Yeah.
digital media shit and tagging with Morrissey and like having matches with men. So at least they've been keeping her looking like she would be a viable contender. And you know, if she gets the opportunity like this, you know she's gonna thrive.
Absolutely. In the back, Goldilocks was here, the former backstage interviewer, and she interviewed the woman that was voted the most impactful knockout, which of course was Gail Kim. Kim thanked the fans and everyone who came before her, as well as the chance Impact has given to women. She puts over the match we just saw, and she's excited about the future of Impact. And of course, Gail Kim has her hand in what's going on in Impact Wrestling as she's one of the agents and one of the minds behind Impact Wrestling. I think that every company probably needs someone like a Gail Kim, like
Hmm.
someone who is behind the scenes, kind of working on different feuds and stuff to do with the women's division. I think if AEW did that, I think they would improve exponentially when it comes
I
to their women's division.
I think that's something Serena Deeb would be good at. You know, once she winds down a
Yeah.
little bit, I think she's getting her flowers now, and then once she winds down, I think she'll get into that role for AEW.
I would say Mercedes Martinez is another one as
True.
well.
Yeah,
So
her
yeah,
too.
both of those ladies have so much experience. They just need like Tony Khan to kind of listen to them more when it comes to
Yeah.
the women's division. But then finally we had the main event of the evening for the Impact World Championship. It was the walking weapon Josh Alexander defending against one of the stalwarts of Impact Wrestling, Eric Young, with Violent by Design, Diener, and Joe Doring in his corner. And this became another kind of like tribute to the history of Impact Wrestling, with Josh Alexander kind of doing the top and most beloved baby faces in Impact Wrestling moves,
Hmm.
while Eric Young did more of like the best heels in Impact Wrestling move. Josh Alexander, he did the face wash like Samoa Joe. You had Eric Young at one point, he did the stroke. Josh Alexander kept trying to go for the ankle lock, and it looked like Eric Young was about to tap when Diener pulled out powder out of his pocket and threw it in the referee Brian Hebner's face, which they did know this was Brian Hebner's last match he was refereeing before his retirement. Eric Young, of course, tapped out after the referee got blinded. Then we had Diener in the ring with the Violent by Design flag. So Josh Alexander pulled out the old Team Canada hockey stick flag and busted it over Diener's back. He also gave Joe Doring a angle slam through a table at ringside in a crazy little spot there. With him distracted with fighting off Violent by Design, Eric Young pulled out his old friend Jeff Jarrett's guitar and busted it over. Oh my God, busted it over Josh Alexander's head, busting him open. He then pulled off the mat, off the he pulled the mat off of the ring and exposed the wood below it and delivered a power driver on the wood for a nice little near fall. Young was beside himself. He set Alexander on the top rope and he was going for a second rope power driver, but Alexander slips free. He grabs the ankle lock again. Alexander cranks on the lock, but Young kicks Alexander off, only to run into a ST Joe, Shades of Samoa Joe, by Josh Alexander on the exposed wood, and then he delivers the C4 spike to retain the Impact World Championship. Once again, Josh Alexander delivers in the main event as he's been doing ever since he became the X Division champion. I really enjoyed this main event match. I gave it 4 stars. This definitely exceeded my expectations. I did not expect to be so much into this matchup. These two men delivered and had some really good chemistry together. What did you think, Chris?
I gave this 4.25 stars. Definitely, it's my match of the night simply because I knew the match was going to be good, but I didn't know how it was going to go. And I like the fact that they really paid homage to like all the main names like in throughout TNA's history, with the moves, but at the same time they kept true to the story. They kept the physicality between these two guys. They made it feel about the title. It wasn't just about the history of Impact, but it was about the title as well. And Eric Young's just a sick fuck trying to kill somebody always on that wood. And then Josh Alexander just overcoming the odds like he always does. Just a great story. Thought it was a really good match. It capped off the night for me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was a great way to end the night. And like I said, Josh Alexander, man, people need to put more respect on his name. He's really one of the best wrestlers in the world that not a lot of people talk about.
It's top five. I'll give him top five right now.
I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you at all because he's been consistently delivering, especially just as Impact World Champion. His match against Moose was in my opinion, the best match from Impact Wrestling this year. His match with Tomohiro Ishii was just as good, and then this match exceeding all expectations going into it. Josh Alexander just continues to prove himself as the face of Impact Wrestling. But that brings us to a close on Impact Slammiversary. We want to hear from you in the live chat. What was your match of the night? Your MVP, your LVP? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, and out of 10, what did you give the show? First for me and Chris G, let's put our thumbs in the middle for Impact Slammiversary 2022 in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up all around from me and Chris G. And out of 10, what did you give the show, Chris G?
This is a solid 8, even pushing 8.5. I mean, the action was good throughout the night. Uh, Great, history being told throughout the night about this company. They really like stuck true to their roots, brought a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. I mean, it was a really good show.
I gotta agree with you. I give it an 8 out of 10, and that's higher, ladies and gentlemen, than I gave Double or Nothing, Hell in a Cell, and Dominion. The last 3 shows I've been on here reviewing for one of our roundtable reviews, I gave them all 7.5. I thought that the tributes and how they celebrated the history of Impact Wrestling while still saying like we're still here and we're still kicking. This is not a goodbye. This is just with respect to our past, and we're presenting what we have for the future and what we have presently. I think they did it in such a great way. I gave it an 8 out of 10. We got NW Network who says, dope night for Impact. Amazing work to all the talents on the card and involved within NWA, TNA, Impact. I may be one of the very few that believed Impact would be the alternative that we needed after WCW ends. I did as well. They let me down a lot of times. Don't get me wrong. They let me down a lot of times, but I said this earlier to Jeremy before we did FMC over on Fightful Overbook. I think the last 4 years of Impact Wrestling has just been consistently good. They've just been
Mhm.
consistently good, especially with their pay-per-view product. They just continue to deliver these really good to great shows consistently on pay-per-view. Even their Impact Plus specials, especially like this year, have been consistently good as well. I think more people would enjoy Impact Wrestling if they just gave it a chance and forget what happened. Like I said, the last 4 years have been consistently good. Just forget what they did the 10 years prior to that that made
Yeah.
people go away from the product. Just forget that.
Yeah, definitely. I want to say like what was it Bound for Glory like 2018, like the whole like start of Johnny Impact's reign. I think from there on was like the start of the renaissance or the revival of Impact Wrestling. So it's good to see them flourishing now, and it looks like they're only getting better. So good things.
100%. We got Ace who says it was also an 8 out of 10. We got John Elite who's giving it a thumbs up and a two sweet. He says 8 and 3/4 out of 10. We got MW Network who says 8 out of 10. Brilliant tribute and still staying true. Impact has changed this pro wrestling game. 20 years. They never believed it would survive after Hulk and Eric B era. They continue to evolve the game. Frantic World, to answer your question, as of right now, Impact Bound for Glory is going to be on October 8th, from what I understand, which I think is the same weekend as Extreme Rules, but don't hold me to that. But that's very
Probably
interesting.
they like to piggyback off of big events from either WWE or AEW, so I wouldn't be surprised.
They really do. They stay
It's
consistent with
smart.
that.
It's smart marketing though. You know, you're gonna get most of your viewers if there's a big weekend. So I get it.
And you gave your match of the night to the main event, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Queen of the Mountain. I really enjoyed Queen of the Mountain, and the surprise win just puts it just above the main event as well as Ultimate X and the 5-on-5 between Honor No More and the Impact Original. So yeah, 3 to 4 really good to great matches on this show. So definitely go out of your way to watch it if you haven't already. LVP of the night, Chris G. Who do you give it to?
I mean, there wasn't really many because it was a good show, solid show. But I'm gonna give it to Chris Harris because he had to drink water. He couldn't. He couldn't. He had to be the designated driver, and it would have been a great day to get down and dirty. So you know, it is what it is.
Um, Sadly, I'm gonna have to give it to Steve Macklin and Chris Bay for losing the reverse battle royal
For
when they were
eliminating
the obvious.
themselves.
They eliminated themselves. They were the obvious picks to win that, and they lost. So I gotta give it to them. Sorry, I'm sorry, guys. I like both of y'all, but damn, how y'all let Shark Boy win that? How y'all let Shark Boy? Um, MVP of the show, Chris G.
Again, there's I feel like there's so many, but I'm gonna go in a different direction. I'm gonna give it to Scott D'Amore because he's running the show over there and he's been doing a hell of a job. And yesterday was just another example of him knowing the product, him knowing Impact Wrestling, and just helping put everything together like in such a great way. So I'm gonna give it to Scott.
I'm going to give it to three guys. Team Canada 2.0. Speedball Mike Bailey for winning the X Division Championship. Eric Young for over delivering in the main event. And the Impact World Champion, Josh Alexander. They Alexander and Young for over delivering with the main event. And like I said, Speedball Mike Bailey, one of the best wrestlers in the world this year. Got to give it to him as well. Shout outs to Jordan Grace as well. But I gave Queen of the Mountain the match of the night. But so I'll give Team Canada 2.0 the MVPs of this show. But that brings us to a close on our Impact Slammiversary roundtable review. John Elite giving the match of the night to Queen of the Mountain. He also gives MVP to Josh Alexander, LVP to Chris Bay. We got MW Network, who says, I enjoyed Impact in Toronto, which sparked this new era. Super proud all around seeing Impact doing Twitch tapings in my hometown. So great stuff. So yeah, everybody seems to be warming back to Impact Wrestling, it seems. And shows like last night helped that a lot. Frantic World saying, good review, guys. See you on the next one. Chris G, let the people know where they can find you on social media and when you'll be back here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel.
You can find me at True Hill Chris G on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, you can find me here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel every Tuesday night. We do NX3, me, Romeo, and the three-time baby making championess. We got NX3 number 63 coming up tomorrow. That should be fun. You can also catch me sometimes on Elite Heat, which is our Dynamite watch along. I've been popping up on there recently because of, well, Tuesdays is kind of depressing sometimes. So I need to come on Wednesdays to get my spirits back up because I love Dynamite. And then Thursdays, Blunt Impact. I will maybe try to get on this week. I'll see. I'll be on vacation, but if I don't got nothing to do, then I'll chime in and help Ness out with Blunt Impact. And next week we got a Forbidden Door watch along. Definitely gonna be part of that. So can't wait for that. And just a lot of fun things coming up in True Heel Heat.
Yes, you got the Forbidden Door watch along on Sunday. Next Monday, we're going to be doing a Forbidden Door roundtable review. It will be myself. We'll have special guest Richard Benson of the Grabble App podcast, as well as Post Wrestling here with us. So it's a lot of great content coming up as we enter Forbidden Door week. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at True Heel SP3. Follow the gang Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at True Hill Heat. To be an even bigger supporter of True Hill Heat, patreon.com/True Hill Heat, $3 a month. Be a part of our True Hill Heat Prediction Championship. Like I said, 1 month to go. Plus, we got bonus content, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Myself and Jay News will be doing a preview for the G1 Climax 32 tournament. We're going to break down all 28 participants. The blocks have been announced today. We're going to talk about the blocks, what matches we're looking forward to, and everything over on Patreon. And to get your gear, prowrestlingtees.com/True Heels for your True Hill Heat merchandise. And later on tonight, we'll be back here live, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, with Rated Raw Superstars 53, hosted by Romeo, Drunk Guy JJ, True Draw Josh. Will be here to watch WWE Raw. Like Chris G said, we got NX3 and Elite Heat on tomorrow, as well as Wednesday. Thursday, I'll be here with Jimmy Macaram, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time for AE Ramble. And then Friday, we got our Forbidden Door preview show, which is going to have Joe Holbert of the Late Night Grin, Jay News, and myself, maybe Romeo, and maybe another special guest. I got to wait to confirm that, but I'll let you guys know. And Saturday, 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time, special start time, 1 hour earlier. We'll be here with True Hill Heat 181, wrapping up the weekend wrestling, previewing AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door, with Kyrian of New Japan, as well as Fightful Overbooks, Bread Club, reviews of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's going to be breaking down the card for Forbidden Door with us, as well as Top Guy JJ will be returning to the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. So much to enjoy from us. It's going to be a good week from True Hill Heat. So I want to thank Chris G for joining me for our Impact Wrestling Slammiversary 2022 roundtable review here. Want to thank you all. Remember to drop the thumbs up on this video, share with your friends, subscribe if you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. If you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, drop a heart, a like, an angry, a laugh emoji. However, Impact Wrestling Slammiversary 2022 made you feel. For Chris G, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our Impact Wrestling Slammiversary 2022 roundtable review. We are signing off until next time.